Alright, so I have a few housekeeping things first before we start the coding on stuff. So I was thinking a lot about Monaco and whether I wanted to continue doing stuff with it. And we got two PRs that I just wanted to show. First one, we got one that cleaned up how we are setting the generic type for the Monaco editor. So before I was casting it at the end here and saying like Monaco editor. And so there's a PR that changed it, so now we have passing it as a generic there, which is nice. And then we import the props from React Monaco editor. And then the other PR we got was this. So when the editor mounts now, I don't know if I had select on number changes. Yep, that was me. If I hover over here, yeah, so we can see someone else committed this. And we got these nice compiled defaults and basically setting what we need to show JSX or style JSX, at least attempting to. And we need this stuff for TypeScript to behave nicely. So it's kind of just setting the TS config it looks like to me. And here's what it looks like with it. So it kind of improved JSX a little bit, but some stuff is still not great. So like that one's green, this one's not. So it still needs some work to try to get like the syntax highlighting to work. We probably need to do some other things. And I'm kind of at the point where I don't think I want to spend another day like fiddling around with Monaco. I think I can probably get it to work, and I think the way to do it is to base it off of Code Sandbox and read through the code there. But the Monaco documentation isn't great, and I don't think it's worth trying to figure all this stuff out. And I think I'm just going to go back to using Prism. I was planning on doing another day of working on Monaco, but I've just feel like it's going to be to no end and not worth the time trying to figure it out. And then lastly, we got a YouTube comment that linked to this language map, and actually linked to another one, but I kind of stumbled on this one. It looks a little bit better. But what this is this maps the extensions to languages. And what this comes from is, so GitHub Linguist, popular package. This is how GitHub decides on a language based on file extension and some other factors that they use that they mentioned in their README, and I could probably read through the source code if I wanted to figure it out. But here you can see is a YAML file, and in this YAML file it maps extensions to languages. So I can look for .tsx, and we can see that maps to TypeScript, or I guess ACE mode there is what it maps to. Anyway, so this is YAML. This is not going to help us too much. Like, this format's a little awkward for us to use programmatically. We kind of want it in JSON. So there's this. That's what this library does, is it maps that to JSON, so we can install this, and this should work for us. So we can now, instead of using our own language map, we can use GitHub's. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do, get rid of these changes that I had, and I'm just going to go back to master branch and work from there. And I think where we left off here, we have a decent amount done. I think we do need to fix syntax highlighting though. So it works nicely, like syntax highlighting works nicely here. It's kind of interesting, it has kind of like a white square there. But if I load a screen like this, and then I try opening it up, it doesn't like re-highlight, I guess. I don't know if it errors out or something. So that's something we need to add. So we're going to start by trying to fix why this doesn't highlight, and then also add this language map in instead of our own custom one. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try is just to log, and we're calling prism.highlight here. So I'm just going to see when we're actually loading the language. Hey Lulu. Alright, so now it works. What the heck? Alright, so I think what I did is I came here, I loaded the page, then I clicked on a file. Yeah, there we go. Now it's not working. That's so weird. Hey guys, hey Smeddy, hey main machine. Okay, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I was just talking about Monaco. Basically, yeah. I think it's going to take too long to try to, we'll say, .then, .catch. I'm just curious if sometimes it's catching and sometimes not, and it's going to different things. Basically, I feel like we could get Monaco to work, and the way we would go about doing it is probably to base it off of Code Sandbox and reading through the code there. But in general, I feel like it's going to take just a really long time to try to figure it all out, mainly because the documentation is just not there, it's non-existent. And so we're going to have to figure out a lot of stuff on our own, which is fine, but I think I would rather just go down Prism for now because we have most of it complete. The syntax highlighting, line numbers, and highlighting individual lines, and then continue from there and just not worry about Monaco for now. So let's try this again. So I come here, we're gonna load the page. Maybe add the, oh, you know what? I meant to have this there. That's a good point. I only want useEffect to re-rendered once when the component mounts. I don't think, it looks like it's only running once, so I don't think that was the problem. We can see though. Yeah, okay, so here it's loading the language with .then, and it's not showing up. So I'm guessing what's happening is, like, where are we doing it? All right, here's our pre-tag. I mean, I'm just guessing that it's calling highlight before this is getting rendered. Like, that's the only thing that would make sense for it not to be showing up. So what that means is maybe we should just have like a callback. And when we have a reference to this pre-tag, then we call highlight. So what that would look like is we can just call prism.highlight here. And actually we can just copy this whole bit. So we're now going to load the language when we have a ref. Now the ref is going to be called a bunch of times probably, so that'll be interesting to see how many times this gets called. Alright, so it looks like this works when we load this once. Let's actually stay here. Let's do the same example that broke. Alright, that seems to have fixed it. Yeah, that seems to be the way to go with it. So instead of using useEffect here, I want to call this to make sure that the pre-tag has been mounted, or at least is on the page, which is actually kind of funny because I believe useEffect gets called after like it is like rendered once. So it's weird that to me that's happening. The other thing now that we need to add to the ref thing here is we need to make sure we're not just constantly highlighting it. So we need to add like a variable or something and like set a flag when we've done it at least once. And I think, so like basically what we need is actually maybe we do a state, store this in the state. I guess that would work. I was thinking of setting it as like an instance variable, but maybe this should be a state. Has loaded language. I was wondering if there's a dot finally, because we would like to do this whether we've loaded the language or whether we dot bend or dot catched out. So what I'm trying to decide right here is if I'd like to do this. Let's just change this to async and await. I think that'll be simplest. Because no matter what, we want to call Prism highlight anyway. Okay, I got too many curly braces. All right, we have these two. Then we have async here. Then we have this random if statement, which I'm just going to comment out so we can get this working. We don't care if there's an error. Call Prism highlight. Hey, Nat. So now we should hopefully just load the language once. But now we do it twice. Oh, I didn't call await. So like two things, the syntax highlighting didn't show up. Huh. All right, so the ref happens. I do this. You can omit. Oh, can I just do this? Or are you talking about if you don't care if there's an error, you can omit the braces from the error object? Oh, like that. There we are. Cool, I didn't know that. That's a cool little trick. Yeah, because we don't care about the error here. We just want to try loading the language. Actually, what does load language even do? Oh, we're loading the language so that Prism can highlight it. Okay, now I remember what it was. I was like, what does this code even do? All right, so this is rendering twice, so I think we need to do an instance variable instead of storing it in state. All right, so the hook that we want to use is this useRef hook. Actually, is useRef what we want to do, or is there another one that would be better? What about mapping? Oh, because we're doing fine code review questions here. I think we're loading, and that's why it wasn't working with the use effect up here. Yeah, we have our map for our load language. We're actually going to swap it out with a new map in a second. All right, let's try this useRef, and if this does not work, there's one other thing we can try. Oh, what the heck? I'm importing React like a couple times here. All right, and I think it's just current, which is, yep, it's a Boolean. All right, so loaded language is now only happening once. And it looks like it's highlighting correctly. Render cycle and then component did mount cycle. Use this plugin, import sorter. We want like the component did mount stuff to happen afterwards, but I think what was happening is right here. So on the initial load, we're actually returning null because we're loading the code review. All right, so how does this sort it? Configurations support regular expression functions to set sorting priority and rules. You can configure it how you want. I do have like an algorithm that I usually do to sort. I'll take a look at this later and read through how you set it up, because basically my algorithm for, well, it's a really simple algorithm. All I do is I split absolute and relative imports, and then I kind of like to have like the important imports here and then like lesser down here, I guess. That's like less important. All right, I think this technique is going to work just fine for us. So I'm going to leave this in for now. And I don't think we need this comment anymore. All right, so I think we're good. I think we solved that problem. I'll tell you what, one thing Monaco did a ton better than Prism is large files. Like, look how long this is blank for. Now this is a very large file, but well, you tell you what, this might be a mix between both GitHub taking a while to load and Prism taking a while to load, but this is a very big file as well. I think it'd be a good idea, a loading indicator there. And it removes double imports. Okay, that's going to be pretty helpful because we were getting double imports before for whatever reason from just auto completion. So let's give this a try now. So the next thing that I want to work on is this language map. So right now we have one that I just created. So instead we're going to use this guy's. And I'm currently in the UI package. Let's come to the web. All right, I think this is what we are doing it in. File name to language. Hey, Matt. Now, I'm curious whether we're going to be able to import this cleanly, because I can't imagine they have types for this in TypeScript. All right, so it's imported. And I just want to log it so I can see what it looks like. Still throwing any errors right now. I'm skeptical. Oh, you're still working on your redux. So, did you make it any further? Yikes, we're getting all kinds of problems. So, did you just try different solutions and you didn't like any of the ones you found? Yeah. Well, you know, I guess you could always build your own solution, I guess. Field browser does not gain a valid alias configuration. Alright, so let's import it like that. Has anyone here had to deal with getting their head around dealing with many-to-many relationships? If so, do you have anything to read to help? I don't have any links, but the general... Yeah, that's generally... What part are you having trouble wrapping your head around? Implementing it or when to use it? The number one answer I got was just to put in Redux. Yeah, I agree with that. I think putting in Redux is probably the way to go, because if you're wanting to update it on an action, it needs to be in Redux. Can't tell if it's still crashing logging this. Alright, looks like it's working now. That's so odd. Alright, so here it looks like it's an array of languages. Mostly how to organize the join table and actually to implement it in my resolvers. I see, so how to actually go about fetching the data or creating the data in the resolvers. So what I'm looking for right now is, wow, XML can have a lot of extensions. This is so confusing. Why is .ts related to XML? I actually don't know if this source map is going to help us any. World of Warcraft add-on data. Never mind, I don't think we're going to be using this. Yak. So what's confusing to me here is, so we have the extension. So like, there's this thing called Wisp. The file extension is .wisp, but is the language closure and we should use what ace mode is? Or should we look it up by this language ID? I guess it's too complete. I mean, the more the problem is I don't know how the mapping works. Because if we have a .ts extension, we definitely don't want that to go to XML. Alright, I'm going to go back to this original one and just search TS. Yeah, they have it in the original YAML file for on GitHub. Is it only XML that's messed up? Yeah, I don't think I can use this anymore. Alright, looks like we're just going to keep our own for now. That's so weird. I don't understand why they have this mapping. I must be just not understanding how it works. Or maybe I ignore everything but the first extension. Alright, I'm not going to worry about this for now. We have our solution implemented already. And I can always add to this mapping that we have here and make it better if we need to. We should have the main programming languages. JSP goes to Java. .java. What the heck? We don't have in our list Java, right? Because when you program in Java, I believe it's .java. So my friend wants to learn TS. Do you think it's worth learning? Yeah, I definitely think it's worth learning. So I just want to just real quickly make sure that our list has the top programming languages. Okay. All right, HTML. Wow, this is depressing. We should also have HTML mapping to HTML. Or you know what? If it's the same name, I think you don't have to worry about mapping it. And maybe that's why Java doesn't map to Java and HTML doesn't map to HTML. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Never mind. Because we're doing extension, or the extension is just what it is. We're good. Hey Ben, what are you working on? So today I just reverted back to not using Monaco anymore, just using Prism and using the syntax highlighting with that. And so right now I am looking at the map of languages. So I have a mapping which goes from the file extension. So if the user has a .py file, I know that they're programming in Python. And so what I'm checking real quick is making sure I have the file extensions for the 10 most popular programming languages, just to make sure and to double check, because we were kind of missing some before. CSS is CSS, SQL is SQL, Java is Java, Bash can be .sh. Okay, sh is going to Bash, cool. Python, C#, I think C# is CS. Yeah, .cs file should be C#. Alright, so we're missing that, it looks like. So now I need to decide, how does Prism load C# files? Okay, so they say it like that, or spell it like that, I mean. What about C++? We're going to be getting there. PHP, I don't think has anything besides PHP. And then I think we already did C++. I think the only other one is, so we have C++, we should have CPP, but I think we already have CPP here. It should be covered. H. Is there anything else that goes with C++ besides these three extensions and .cpp? I believe that's everything. C is going to be C and H header file. We added header file. Oh, we also had HPP. TypeScript we have, well, we have T and we have TSX. I thought I added that. Did I add that? All right. How was I loading TypeScript files over here? I thought I loaded a TypeScript file. Oh, never mind. TSX maps to TSX, so I don't have to add that. That's an incorrect mapping. Ruby, I do believe we had, which is RB. Swift and Objective-C. We don't have them on. Here's Swift. Objective-C is not on here. What is the file extension for Objective-C? .m. Okay, M and MM. OBC. Doesn't look like that's, yeah, it doesn't look like it's Objective-C. What is Swift? Do we have anything for Swift? We do not. Is Swift.Swift? Here, but I can search. Language over here is Swift. Yep, Swifties is .Swift. And last one, Go and assembly. Wow, a lot of people are still writing assembly. let's do .asm. All right, so we support WebAssembly, NASM, and 6502. Adobe Flash. Same name. Is that WASM? Let's see if they even, nope, it doesn't have syntax highlighting for Flash. All right, so we fixed loading, fix highlighting. All right, we can add a loading indicator real quick. W3 has a simple thing that I've done before for just creating a loading indicator. We can create one of these. You did action script. RIP. So let's start up Storybook. So I was gonna make a component out of this, but I don't think I need to. I think I can just use a styled component. All right, so we're gonna say export. Actually, are we doing export or export defaults? Both. Let's go with export. So in style components, you just use ampersand instead of class names. And in this case, we're just assigning all these values, so we don't even need to. That's huge. Note that you're trying to use the input string anyway, so if the extension meet the Prism name, you don't need to put in the map. Exactly. That's what I realized halfway through, like names with Java, we don't need to have a mapping from Java to Java anyway. Or if like the shorthand extension matches, I think they're using the long name for the most part though. So I'm just gonna add a prop on this called size. that allows you to scale it. Did I mess this up? Expected one type argument, but got two. Is that the right order? Did I not have a props on any of these before? I didn't, did I? For some reason, I thought this was the syntax for adding it. All right, let's see the example of how to use this. All right. It's after it. There we go. Oh, that actually breaks the highlighting here though. That's kind of funny. Oh, look, you can put it back here as well. I like that syntax the best. As weed legalized in Texas, it is not. We actually just straight broke the syntax highlighter there. All right, so there's this border thing, and then there's the width, there's the height. All right, so there's 7.5. So for every 7.5, so p dot size, so the multiplier here is 7.5, I think. And then we use the same multiplier here. And so here. That's trippy. So our ratio is way off. I'm guessing the border top here is what's messed up. Yeah, so the border top is super thick. Okay, that actually works. So let's say I want like 3. All right, let's say I want this to go a little faster. We can add a speed prop onto this. Speed prop we'll make optional. Let's do 1 second. I feel like that's a better speed. That might even be too fast. And the last thing that I want to do is add the colors that we're using in our palette. I'm just seeing how he added color, did he? Button. I think I do like a styled system. I can add the color on there, but I think I want to set a default one. So you can pull up the mockup. Alright, so let's pick a gray. Let's do neutral like 300, I suppose. So neutral like, let's just pick one of those. Colors. And we're gonna go with neutral. Colors.neutral. Okay, this is just not iTheme. So I wanted it to know like what the names were, so I get auto completion there, but that's okay. So that should be this outer ring color that gets changed. That's really faint actually. Let's go to 1. Let's go like that. We need like an in-between, I think. Just kidding, it just got heavier. Alright, that looks fine. And then let's pick the blue. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be a blue spinner. So pretty much any of our primaries will work. Alright, it's good with me. Import cost not working for me as well. Yeah, it sometimes doesn't import stuff or give it a name. So instead of null, we can actually do our spinner. I forgot to actually export it. Hey, Francis. All right, so let our web module start up and see if our spinner shows up. You don't like the default theme? What syntax highlighting do you like better? What theme? The version of import costers getting messed up, or computer? Looks like we got a problem. Can I read property colors of undefined? Alright, so here I am importing the theme, which is this dot colors. I got no idea what's going on with this. Let's just restart again. Oh, you have your own theme. That's fancy. You like the one that React uses on their docs? We have the React docs pulled up. You know what? I do like this theme actually as well. The React docs have a pleasant, just like documentation template. It's pretty nice. I don't know. I'm good with this, with the default VS Code one. In general, I like how colorful it is. If I open up like this, like almost everything has a color on it, which I'm a fan of. Like I'm not a big fan of like white, I guess. So like I like how everything has like a color that's not white. Is the thing that I'm not a fan of. You can customize the default theme however you like. Yeah. For a second there, I didn't think it was gonna break. That's so confusing why it's undefined when we export it. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to access theme like this, and I should be accessing it through the props. All right, let's try that. All right, so now we can have this little spinner show up when we render our component, and I want to change the size of it, or at least I should set a default size. Say size is like, I think 3 was a good size. I'm gonna make size a default prop. This is kind of annoying that I have to do the default 3 places. There's probably a better way to handle this. rebuild. Is this thing booting up yet? Hello, does a 1 GB RAM droplet on DigitalOcean or Heroku hobby enough to run a Prisma and Apollo server? Yep, it definitely is. But you know what? We could use the React theme here on CodePonder. Alright, so if I run that, it doesn't show up at first. That's fine. So we should notice the spinner when we try opening up the yarn lock. Oh, here's our spinner. It's not centered or anything. Wow, it actually loaded the yarn lock not too slow this time. Huh. We tried OnChange. I'm not sure where this error is coming from. Create code review question component. Because each one that we have value on here, we have an OnChange. It could be just a warning for hooks. I've tried learning Vim since watching Ben do this crazy looking stuff, and I'm painfully slow. Yeah, it takes a while to get used to it. Slow and steady, you get a little faster every day. This is all mixed up. We said the link could be anything. Hey Ben, how did the theme get passed to the props in the spinner there? So here when we initialize stuff, we're passing in a theme provider. So this is wrapping our entire app. And so anytime that we use a styled component, it's going to try, it has that theme prop passed to it. And here's the theme. It's coming from our components, our UI package. I find myself trying to plan out what I'm going to do next while I'm navigating to the code, but I never figure it out in time. Yeah, that's basically what I did too. And like eventually, instead of planning, you'll just kind of like, it'll be like muscle memory. You've done it enough. JSX element type React element any or null is not a constructor function for JSX elements. So this junk that we're getting here, I feel like this happened after we installed React 16.7, and I feel like this was working before, and I don't really know how to fix this, and it's not causing a problem. JSX element. So I'm thinking about just ignoring it. JSX element type is not a constructor function. We can Google this real quick and see if there's anything on it. Alright, that's not what I wanted. it looks like it has to do some kind of our types. I imagine it has to do with we're on the alpha version of React. I'm gonna ignore it for now. And the way you ignore it, ooh, how do I ignore it? So usually what you do to ignore it is, I'm used to just doing that. But this is in the middle of JSX here. So I'm actually not sure how to do that. I think I do it like this. I think I actually... There we go. I was like, I did this once before, I just had to remember how you do it. You do it like this. So this is the start of the line. Our theme provider has a problem too. Yikes. And solid types for React again. I don't think that's really gonna do much for us. We're on the alpha version, so I imagine there's stuff gonna be broken. How do you like Storybook? So far it's pretty good. Like, in general, I think it's just it's nice. It's nice for group projects, or like projects where you want to be able to like see the UI components and have other people work on them, or see what you currently have. And so that's why I chose it for this project. For personal projects, I don't feel like you gain too much if it's just you building it, but I think Storybook is really nice when you want to like document it for other people, and for other people to document it for you. And like, it was relatively easy to set up and stuff. Actually, no, it wasn't. Well, I mean, we were just kind of missing something in our config for a little bit, but after we got it set up, what I mean by adding it, like the story files is pretty simple. Well, we're not doing a story there. Like, this is pretty simple to like create the documentation for it, so I'm pretty happy with it being simple here. And like, I like that we use TypeScript here. Some of them you write them in Markdown, which I think is maybe fine if you want to do more of a documentation approach. Alright, so what do I even want to work on next? Well, let's see where we're currently at with the project in whole. So we're at the point now. Okay. So I was about to say we're at the point now where we can add questions, but this language just broke for YAML. So let's figure out what just broke. There in the console on the browser is because there's an extra space coming from the server. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do to fix that. I'm not familiar enough with server-side rendering to know like how to get around it. I think maybe we need to highlight it on the server side, but I'm not sure if Prism I'm not even sure works with server-side rendering. I have no idea. Add an extra space. Actually, we could do that. That's smart. Instead of trying to fix the server, fix the client. That's a good idea. Straight outsmarted. Also, I just realized something. So why were we... So this is not even a YAML file too. Oh, so Tmux doesn't let stuff load. So that's why it was taking forever to load. Now I see what was going on. Alright, here we go. Look at that. That's what adds 2 spaces. That's funny. Let's try the trim. Removes the leading. We only care about the the space on the left, so we're gonna try trim left. Haha, nice. Good suggestion with the trim. Alright, so our warning's gone. Sweet. Where was the YAML file I had? What a hack. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure the YAML worked. When are you going to work on the CSS? So I feel like we're going to be doing that very soon, because the general gist of it I think I have done. I think I just need to figure out what other pages I want to add to this. Because here's how I see it working. You log into GitHub, which we have on the home page. And then after you log in, you pick your repo. So we need to actually make this, we need to make this better too, but, right? So I pick Code Ponder. We need to actually navigate you. So then I get navigated to CodePonder/master, and then I can see my branch, and here is where I pick a file that I want. And then here I need to, I can add a question. So I want line number 14 to 18. By the way, we need to add validation there. Like, we don't want overlap between questions. We also need to make it, when we save that it updates the cache, so we don't have to refresh. We have it so that it's oh man. Guys, it's back. Trim didn't actually work. But we have it to where it's highlighting stuff. Leave it to do after each of those hacks. To like fix it. Fix it later. Well, it doesn't even look like it actually fixes it in this case. I'm not sure why it was working before and now it's not. Let's try just reloading this again. Yep, it comes up each time. On the server, it adds a space, but on the client, it doesn't. I think like Prism is adding the space. I want to try the method where we add a space again. I think the client one had a space earlier. Yeah, I added the space earlier. All right, see, now it's working. No, it's not. So this is when I add a space in front of it. All right, I mean, it's not really causing any problems. It's just a weird warning. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, basically on the server side, we're adding an extra space. And I think it's because of Prism doing things, is my guess. All right, so now we need to decide what we want to work on next. Because basically we have a janky version of this. And like, you can reply here. We can definitely make this nice and pretty. And we definitely need to like add widths in the format of this. And we have our mock-up of basically what we want this to look like. So we have some stuff we can work on it for. The other thing I need to think about is we also want to make a home page. So let me add that for the to-dos. So on this, we're going to want to search. Did you wireframe this yourself? Actually, no. So we actually got someone who that actually knew. So this is in Figma, that actually knew Figma. His name is Vlad, and so he actually did most of this. I think so. He did this base design, and then I think I made this page, but this was just me taking the components that Vlad already had made. So yeah, Vlad was the person who kind of put together this this wireframe for us in Figma. So we need to make this page too. This page is pretty much done, just unstyled. We're missing the tags at the top. I'm really interested in FramerX. I took a look at FramerX. It was actually pretty interesting. It was missing, the one thing I want is something where I can change the React code, or I can change the mockup, and then they're in sync. So with FramerX, you could change the code, or you could change the mockup, but I don't think you could do both at the same time. Was the only thing. What did Nat say? I have a file like this, export one or all from that. Export default utilized, but it's creating circular. What is your solution? This is the file. If your exclaimer was at a meetup where one of the developers spoke, and it was quite cool how you can design with live data and stuff. Yeah, I really like that. And also I really like that you can kind of just design it from the code, which is really interesting. Like, if I was going to do more design stuff, I could see myself using that more. Oh, you have a circular dependency? Let me finish figuring out what I want to change here, and then we'll look at your circular dependency and see if we can figure it out. All right, so I want to make the home page. I want to style this page. And then we also need to create a page that looks like this. And so this is where you can see all the questions a user has asked for a repo, and you can also see the code snippets. So we need to save code snippets for questions. Okay. All right, I think we'll start working on this stuff in the next stream. I'll go ahead and give this a try for Nat, and then answer any questions, and then we'll call it a day. Utilizes blob/master. Did I spell utilizes wrong? Util. There we go. Now it's okay, but you're repeating yourself. Oh, so what you want to do is, so what you're wanting to do is like prevent yourself. Yeah, you want to prevent not double exporting here. I actually don't know what you do to do that. I assume you tried putting it in a variable and it didn't work. Replace import to export. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of how they do that for libraries. I don't even know if it's possible to make this into a single variable. I think I was looking at type GraphQL earlier today, and I don't know if they export like that. So they don't have an export default. They just do named exports. Okay, so I don't think you actually want to export like this. I think you want to just remove this. And if someone wants to do the default method, they would import it like this. Import star as utilities from utilities. Actually, that's just way better. Just spread it. I don't think you need this, but yeah, spreading would be the way to go. That sounds like, if it works, that sounds good. But I don't think you need the export default at all. You could probably just have a single default either way. Also, you're kind of just, yeah, I agree with you of just replacing the imports with exports, actually. Because I don't even think you want this. I think you just want to export all these. That's what I would recommend. Let's push our code up to GitHub. So is this like just your own utility library? Dang, you wrote a ton of documentation too. Nice. Let's see what packages you use. Lodash, moment, number 2 words, and string similarity. Have you thought about using something else besides moment? I've been lately swapping out moment for day.js, and it's pretty much an exact change. Yeah, date functions is a really good one too. But what I've done is projects where I've already written stuff like with moment is I've just switched it out with day.js, and it's the exact same API, but it's only 2 kilobytes. I think it's missing some of the moment stuff because obviously it's way smaller. But if you're not using it, this is what I've been using lately. Nice, you wrote tests as well. Is this when you were trying to write a test for offset? HTML element. What is HTML element? Oh, this is a generic. I thought this was JSX for a second. I see what it is now. Nice. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream here today, and then we're gonna pick up tomorrow by we're either going to start in designing, or we're going to start either on this other page or one of these new pages that we haven't done yet, I think. I'll see you guys later.